It was an ordinary Tuesday when the world changed forever. James Chen, lead scientist at the Global Space Observation Center, was the first to notice the unusual readings. The massive object appeared suddenly in Earth's orbit without warning. It was unlike anything humans had ever built. "Sir, you need to see this," James called to his supervisor. Within hours, every major government on Earth knew about the strange vessel hovering silently above them. No one expected what happened next. A beam of blue light shot down from the ship, touching down in the middle of the United Nations headquarters in New York. When the light vanished, 5 humans were missing: the Secretary General, a renowned physicist, a celebrated diplomat, a military general, and surprisingly, a kindergarten teacher named Sarah Miller. These 5 people found themselves standing in a vast chamber. The walls glowed with soft light, and the ceiling arched so high they couldn't see the top. Around them, in a perfect circle, sat creatures of every imaginable shape and size. Some looked almost human. Others were so strange that the human mind struggled to make sense of them. "Welcome, Earthlings," said a tall, slender being with blue skin and 4 arms. "I am High Counselor Zex of the Galactic Council. You have been brought here as representatives of your species." The Secretary General stepped forward. "We come in peace and friendship. May I ask why we were brought here without warning or permission?" Murmurs and strange sounds filled the chamber as the aliens communicated among themselves. "Permission?" A bulbous creature with too many eyes laughed, the sound like breaking glass. "Primitive species do not grant permission. They are evaluated. You are here for your evaluation." General Santos reached for a weapon that wasn't there. "Evaluated for what?" High Counselor Zex raised 2 of his 4 hands. "For over 300 years we have observed your planet. All developing worlds are watched. When they reach a certain technological level, they are brought before the Council for a vote." "A vote on what?" asked Dr. Patel, the physicist. "On whether you will be welcomed into galactic society or—" Zex paused. "Managed." Sarah Miller, the kindergarten teacher, spoke up. "What does managed mean?" None of the aliens would meet her eyes. The evaluation began. For hours, the Council questioned them. They asked about human wars, human achievements, human art, and human cruelty. They showed recordings of Earth's history that no human had ever seen. Hidden moments that made the delegates proud, and terrible scenes that filled them with shame. "You fight amongst yourselves," accused a creature made of what looked like living crystal. "We also heal each other," Sarah responded. "We build, we create, we love." "You destroy your own planet," rumbled a massive being that seemed to be made of living stone. "We are learning to do better," Dr. Patel argued. "Every year more of our energy comes from clean sources." "You are violent, unpredictable," hissed a serpentine counselor. "We are passionate," the diplomat countered. "We feel deeply. Is that so wrong?" The questioning went on until the humans were exhausted. Finally, High Counselor Zex called for the vote. One by one, the council members voted. Some voted in favor of Earth. Many more voted against. When the final vote was tallied, the council chamber fell silent. "The vote is 317 against, 89 for, Zex announced. "Earth is denied membership in the Galactic Council." The Secretary General stepped forward. "We respect your decision, though we are disappointed. We will continue to develop on our own, and perhaps in time you will reconsider." A strange sound filled the chamber. It took the humans a moment to realize it was laughter. "You misunderstand," said Zex. "Denial is not independence. Denial is quarantine and eventually sterilization." The words hung in the air like poison. "Sterilization?" General Santos's voice was dangerously calm. "Are you threatening our planet?" "It is not a threat. It is protocol," replied Zex. "Species deemed too volatile or dangerous are removed to protect the greater galactic community. Your nuclear weapons, your rapid technological advancement, your unpredictable nature, these make you a future threat." "You can't do this," Sarah cried. "There are 8 billion people on Earth, children, families." "It is decided," Zex said flatly. "You have 5 of your Earth rotations before enforcement begins. You have been brought here not for negotiation, but as courtesy to inform you of the Council's decision." The military general lunged forward, only to be stopped by an invisible barrier. "We will fight you with everything we have." Zex looked at him with what might have been pity. "Others have tried. The outcome is always the same." Dr. Patel, who had been quiet for some time, finally spoke. Before you send us back, may I ask a scientific question? How do your ships travel faster than light? The physics of it fascinates me. Several council members shifted uncomfortably, but Zex nodded. A final educational exchange seems harmless. Our ships create a bubble of altered spacetime using gravitational manipulation through our quantum fold drives. Dr. Patel nodded thoughtfully. And your weapon systems? Energy-based, I assume? Enough, interrupted a counselor with tentacles instead of arms. They gather intelligence. Return them, ordered Zex. Before any of the humans could speak again, the blue light surrounded them. In an instant, they were back in the United Nations building, exactly where they had been taken from. Only now, they carried with them the knowledge that their world was sentenced to death. The Secretary General immediately called an emergency meeting of all world leaders. Within hours, representatives from every nation gathered, united by a threat greater than any earthly conflict. Dr. Patel worked frantically with her team, analyzing everything she had seen and heard on the council ship. They made a mistake, she told the assembled leaders. They showed too much. Their technology is advanced, but it follows rules we can understand. And in those rules, I saw a weakness. General Santos coordinated with military forces worldwide. We need to prepare for an attack unlike anything in human history. But we will not go quietly. The diplomat reached out to his contacts around the world. We need every resource, every mind, every hand. This is no longer about nations or borders. This is about humanity's survival. Sarah Miller returned to her kindergarten class, hugging each child a little tighter than usual. Later that day, she went on television. I was chosen to see what they plan to do to us, she said, her voice steady despite her tears. I think they chose me because they wanted to see our compassion. But they don't understand that our compassion is also our strength. We care for each other. We fight for each other. And we will not let them take our future. Across Earth, fear spread, but so did determination. Scientists worked around the clock. Militaries prepared. Ordinary people stockpiled supplies and held their loved ones close. On the fourth day, radar stations around the world detected multiple objects entering the solar system. The Council's enforcement fleet had arrived early, hoping to catch Earth unprepared. They would soon discover their mistake. Humanity had been underestimated for the last time. As the alien ships approached, Dr. Patel finalized her plan. They think we're primitive, she told the Emergency World Council. They think we're predictable. They're wrong on both counts. The world held its breath as the enforcement fleet entered Earth orbit. High Counselor Zex's message was broadcast to every screen on the planet. Your time is up. Surrender now for a painless end. Earth's response was a single message, sent by the Secretary General. We vote no. And with those words, humanity's counterattack began. The world's response to the alien threat was something no one could have predicted, not even the all-knowing Galactic Council. Instead of falling into chaos and panic, humanity united overnight. Old enemies became allies. Resources were shared. Borders became meaningless in the face of extinction. Dr. Elena Patel hadn't slept in 3 days. Her eyes were red, her hands shaky from too much coffee, but her mind remained sharp. In her lab at the International Science Coalition, a facility that hadn't existed 4 days ago, she studied the data collected during their brief visit to the council ship. Look here, she said, pointing to a holographic display as world leaders watched. Their quantum fold drive creates a bubble of altered spacetime, but it has a fatal flaw. The field has to be perfectly balanced. Any disruption in the gravitational harmonics would be catastrophic. General Santos leaned forward. Can we create such a disruption? With our current technology? Not directly, Dr. Patel smiled. But we don't have to. The council ships do it themselves every time they activate their drives. We just need to introduce the right kind of interference at the right moment. Sarah Miller, the kindergarten teacher who had become an unexpected symbol of hope, asked the question everyone was thinking. Will it be enough to stop them? Stop them? No, Dr. Patel admitted. But it will give us a fighting chance. And sometimes, that's all humans need. Around the world, factories were repurposed to build new weapons based on Dr. Patel's insights. Satellite dishes were modified to emit precise gravitational waves. Military bases became staging areas for the coming battle. In orbit, the first line of defense took shape. Thousands of small automated drones, each carrying what scientists called a gravity spike, were deployed in a carefully calculated pattern. General Santos addressed the combined military forces of Earth from a bunker deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The enemy believes we are primitive and helpless, he told them. They expect us to surrender or to fight in ways they understand. We will do neither. We will fight as humans always have when our backs are against the wall, with innovation, with courage, and with the fierce determination to survive. On the third day after the Council's deadline, their enforcement fleet entered the solar system. 50 massive ships, each larger than anything humans had ever built, approached Earth with cold precision. The Secretary General broadcast one last message to the people of Earth. Stand firm. Remember who we are. No matter what happens next, we face it together. In homes and shelters around the world, people gathered around screens to watch humanity's last stand. Parents held their children close. Friends clasped hands. Strangers comforted one another. The alien fleet moved into position around Earth, ignoring the seemingly harmless satellites and drones that surrounded them. Why would they fear such primitive technology? High Counselor Zex's face appeared on screens worldwide. Your resistance is noted but futile. Surrender now and we will make your end painless. Continue to resist and you will suffer. General Santos gave the order. Activate the gravity spikes. Across Earth's orbit, thousands of drones fired simultaneously. They didn't shoot missiles or lasers. Instead, they emitted precisely calibrated gravitational pulses, invisible, harmless-seeming waves that rippled through space. On the Council ships, alarms began to sound. The gravitational fields that their ships depended on began to fluctuate. Systems malfunctioned. Communication arrays failed. What is happening? Demanded Zex as his command console flickered. The humans, replied his science officer in disbelief. They're manipulating gravitational fields. It's disrupting our systems. Impossible! They don't have that technology. They didn't, the science officer corrected. They developed it in 5 days. On Earth, Dr. Patel watched the data streaming in with growing excitement. It's working. Their shields are destabilizing. Their weapon systems are going offline. The first Council ship lost power completely, drifting helplessly in orbit. A second followed, then a third. General Santos couldn't believe what he was seeing. They're vulnerable. Earth's conventional military forces launched then, missiles, fighters, and hastily armed space shuttles. They targeted the disabled alien ships, focusing on communication arrays and engine systems, rather than trying to destroy them completely. High Counselor Zex watched in growing horror as his fleet, the most powerful enforcement fleet ever assembled, was being systematically disabled by a species that had been deemed primitive just days ago. Fall back, he ordered. Regroup beyond their gravitational interference and call for reinforcements. The remaining Council ships attempted to retreat, but many were too damaged. 5 of the massive vessels crashed into Earth's atmosphere, breaking apart in spectacular fireballs that lit up the sky from Shanghai to San Francisco. On the ground, teams rushed to the crash sites. Soldiers secured the perimeters while scientists moved in to salvage what they could from the alien technology. At one crash site in the Amazon rainforest, Sarah Miller accompanied a team of first responders. While the scientists collected technology, Sarah found something else. A wounded Council member, a young alien from a species that resembled Earth's octopuses. The creature cowered as humans approached. It was clearly expecting to be killed. Sarah knelt beside it. "We're not going to hurt you," she said gently. "We're going to help you." The alien's large eyes blinked in confusion. "Why would you help me?" "We came to destroy you." "Because that's what humans do," Sarah replied, wrapping a makeshift bandage around the creature's injured limb. "We help those in need, even our enemies." The alien was brought to a secure facility where Dr. Patel interviewed it. The creature, whose name was untranslatable but whom they called Ink, revealed crucial information. "The Council doesn't fear you because you are primitive," Ink explained. "They fear you because you are different. Most species take thousands of years to develop what you have achieved in mere centuries. Your adaptability terrifies them." Dr. Patel leaned forward. "And the sterilization they planned for us, what does that involve?" "A gravitational pulse that would tear your planet apart," Ink said sadly. "They've done it before to other worlds that voted against. 17 worlds in the last millennium alone. The information Inc. provided was invaluable. Earth now knew what to expect when the reinforcements arrived. And they would arrive. The Council would not allow a primitive species to humiliate them. General Santos coordinated with space agencies worldwide to place new defensive systems in orbit. Every satellite was repurposed. Every rocket was armed with gravity spikes. Dr. Patel worked with a global team of scientists to develop the next phase of Earth's defense. If we can reverse engineer their communication systems, she explained, we can do more than just disable their ships. We can infiltrate their entire network. 7 days after the first battle, Earth's long-range sensors detected a much larger fleet approaching. Over 200 Council ships, including what Inc. identified as the Council's Central Command vessel. They're taking no chances this time, General Santos told world leaders. They're sending enough firepower to destroy the solar system. The Secretary General stood tall. Then we must be ready. Humanity has faced extinction before. From ice ages, from plagues, from our own weapons. Each time we've survived because we refused to surrender to fate. As the Council reinforcements approached, Earth broadcast a message. Not of defiance, but an offer to negotiate. It was a tactical move, designed to buy time for the final preparations. High Counselor Zex received the message with contempt. They think we will listen now? After they damaged our ships? After they captured one of our own? But a small faction on the Council urged caution. No species has ever resisted this effectively, one counselor noted. Perhaps we should at least hear them. We will hear nothing, Zex declared. We will end this quickly and completely. What Zex didn't know was that Earth was counting on his arrogance. As the Council fleet moved into attack formation, a small, stealthed ship slipped away from Earth. On board were 6 humans, a team of hackers, engineers, and soldiers, and one alien defector named Inc. Their mission was simple but nearly impossible: infiltrate the Council's central network and upload a virus that would turn the Council's own technology against them. As Earth prepared for the second battle, the small infiltration ship accelerated toward the massive Council fleet. They were humanity's last best hope, and they were about to teach the Galactic Council a lesson they would never forget. Never underestimate humans when their survival is at stake. The Council enforcement fleet arrived with overwhelming force. 200 ships against Earth's improvised defenses. The massive vessels darkened the skies as they took position around the planet. Impressive, murmured High Counselor Zex as he observed Earth from his command center. They've repurposed their primitive satellites into some kind of defensive grid. Should we be concerned? Asked his second-in-command. Hardly. Their first attack caught us unprepared. This time our shields are modified to resist their gravitational interference. On Earth, tension mounted as the alien armada surrounded them. In the command center beneath Geneva, General Santos watched the tactical displays with grim determination. They've adapted their shields, he told Dr. Patel. Our gravity spikes won't be as effective this time. Dr. Patel nodded. We expected that. That's why we've prepared something new. The Secretary General addressed the United Forces of Earth one last time before the battle began. Today we fight not just for our planet, but for every species the Council has unjustly sterilized. Today, we show the galaxy that humanity will not be erased. High Counselor Zex's message boomed across Earth's communication systems. Your resistance is futile. Your tactics have been analyzed and countered. Surrender now, and your end will be swift. General Santos sent a one-word reply. Never. The battle began with the Council firing first, massive energy weapons that lit up Earth's atmosphere. But instead of targeting military bases or cities, the beam struck what appeared to be empty ocean. What are they aiming at? Asked Sarah Miller, who had joined the command center staff as a civilian advisor. A technician enlarged the target area on the main screen. Our underwater gravity transmitters. They've somehow identified them. General Santos frowned. They're more thorough this time. We need to activate the second phase now before they find all our defenses. At his command, Earth's new weapon system activated. It wasn't based on gravity this time, but on something even more fundamental: light itself. Thousands of powerful lasers, hidden on Earth's surface and in orbit, fired simultaneously at precise points on the Council ships. Their shields are still holding, reported a technician. Keep firing, ordered General Santos. We're not trying to penetrate their shields yet. Just keep them focused on the laser attack. Meanwhile, far from Earth, the small infiltration ship approached the rear of the Council fleet. Captain Maya Rodriguez guided the stealth vessel with expert precision, using the larger ships as cover. "How much longer until we reach the command ship?" she asked her navigator. 10 minutes if we maintain this course without detection." Beside them, Ink the alien watched with all 8 eyes wide. "The command ship has the strongest security in the fleet. How will we get aboard?" Maya smiled grimly. "We're going to use their protocols against them. According to your information, all damaged ships are automatically brought into the command ship's repair bay, correct?" Ink's skin changed color, and what the humans had learned was an expression of surprise. "You're going to fake a damaged Council ship? Impossible. They'll scan us immediately." "They'll scan the ship," corrected Lieutenant Kim, the team's technical expert. "But thanks to the technology we salvaged, our ship will read exactly like one of their scout vessels in distress." Back on Earth, the laser attack continued, keeping the Council fleet occupied. But it was having little effect on their shields. High Counselor Zex laughed. "Is this the best they can do? Primitive light weapons?" "Counselor," interrupted a tactical officer, "we're detecting unusual electromagnetic activity in Earth's upper atmosphere." "What kind of activity?" "Unknown, but it's growing stronger." Dr. Patel stood in a research facility at the North Pole, surrounded by the world's most powerful electromagnetic generators. Originally built for research, they had been modified for war. "Activate the EM pulse," she ordered. Across Earth, similar facilities powered up. The combined electromagnetic pulse they generated was far stronger than anything humans had ever created before. It shot upward, invisible but immensely powerful. When it hit the Council fleet, the results were immediate and dramatic. Ship after ship lost power as the pulse overloaded their systems. "Emergency systems only," shouted Zex as his command center flickered. "How did they generate a pulse that strong?" "They're using their planet's magnetic field as an amplifier," reported his science officer in disbelief. "It's ingenious." On the infiltration ship, Captain Rodriguez saw their opportunity. Now, while their sensors are down, the small ship darted forward, broadcasting the distress signal of a Council scout vessel. They approached the massive command ship's repair bay, which was already opening to receive damaged vessels. "We're in," Maya reported as their ship slipped inside the enormous hangar. "Prepare for boarding." The infiltration team moved quickly, donning armor salvaged from the crashed Council ships. With Ink's guidance, they navigated through the massive vessel toward the central computer core. Back at the battle, the Council ships were recovering from the electromagnetic pulse. Their shields were weakened but still functional. They resumed their attack on Earth, this time targeting major cities. The defensive grid struggled to intercept all the incoming fire. Some got through. Tokyo suffered a direct hit. So did Cairo. Millions of lives were lost in seconds. "They're breaking through our defenses," General Santos reported grimly. The Secretary General's face was ashen. "How much longer does the infiltration team need?" "Unknown. We've lost contact since they entered the command ship. Then we need to buy them more time." The Secretary General turned to Dr. Patel. "Activate all remaining defenses. Everything we have." Earth's military forces launched every weapon in their arsenal. Nuclear missiles, gravitational disruptors, laser platforms. Everything fired at once in a desperate attempt to overwhelm the Council shields. High Counselor Zex watched with growing concern as several more of his ships suffered critical damage. "These humans are more resourceful than any species we've encountered. Prepare the sterilization device." "But Counselor," protested his second-in-command, "we haven't cleared the fleet to safe distance." "I don't care. I want this planet destroyed now." Inside the command ship, the infiltration team fought their way through increasingly heavy resistance. 2 of their members had fallen. Captain Rodriguez was wounded, but they pushed forward with Ink leading the way. "The central core is through these doors," Ink said, pointing with 3 tentacles. Lieutenant Kim worked quickly to bypass the security. "I've almost got it. There." The doors slid open, revealing a vast chamber. At its center floated a crystalline structure that pulsed with energy. "The Council's quantum computer core," Ink explained. "It controls everything. Their fleet, their communications, their entire network." Lieutenant Kim pulled out a small device. a quantum data drive containing the virus Dr. Patel and her team had created. Where do I plug this in? Ink guided them to an access port. Here. But be warned, the moment we connect, the system will detect us. Then we better be quick. Lieutenant Kim inserted the drive. Alarms blared immediately. Armed guards rushed toward the core chamber. Captain Rodriguez and her remaining team members took defensive positions. How long? She shouted to Kim. 2 minutes for the upload to complete. We might not have 2 minutes, Rodriguez replied as she fired at the approaching guards. On the command ship's bridge, warnings flashed across Zex's console. Security breach in the central core. Lock it down immediately. But it was too late. The virus had already begun spreading through the system. Across the command ship, systems started to fail. The virus moved from the command ship to the fleet network, infecting ship after ship. On Earth, the defenders watched in amazement as the Council fleet suddenly stopped firing. What's happening? Asked General Santos. A technician studied the readings. Their ships, they're powering down. Weapons, engines, everything. Inside the command ship's core, Lieutenant Kim watched the progress indicator. Upload complete. The virus is spreading through their entire network. Captain Rodriguez grabbed him. Time to go before the doors burst open. Council guards rushed in, weapons raised. Surrender, ordered their leader. Captain Rodriguez raised her hand slowly. We surrender. The guards approached cautiously. None of them noticed ink slip away through a maintenance duct. High Counselor Zex stormed into the core chamber, his forearms trembling with rage. Humans, what have you done? Introduced you to a concept you seem unfamiliar with. Rodriguez replied calmly. Consequences. You'll die for this, Zex snarled. Maybe. But Earth will survive. And the rest of the galaxy will know what you've been doing to primitive species. Zex's eyes narrowed. What do you mean? Lieutenant Kim smiled. Our virus didn't just disable your ships. It's broadcasting everything. All the Council's secret files. All the records of planets you've destroyed. All the species you've erased because they were different or because they scared you. That's impossible. Those files are sealed. Not anymore, said Rodriguez. Right now, every communication device in the galaxy is receiving the truth about the Galactic Council. On the bridge, Zex's officers watched in horror as their most carefully guarded secrets were transmitted across the galaxy. Records of 17 planets sterilized without just cause. Evidence of Council corruption. Proof that many species had been denied membership not because they were dangerous, but because they had resources the Council wanted. The virus spread through the Council's network like wildfire, jumping from ship to ship, from communication relay to communication relay. It was designed not to destroy but to reveal, to unlock the Council's most carefully guarded secrets and broadcast them throughout the galaxy. On thousands of worlds, beings of all kinds watched in shock as the truth was revealed. The Council hadn't just threatened Earth. Over its long history, it had sterilized 17 other worlds whose only crime was being different, being unpredictable, or simply having resources the Council wanted. High Counselor Zex had Captain Rodriguez and Lieutenant Kim brought to the command ship's bridge. Both were injured but defiant. Do you have any idea what you've done? Zex demanded, his blue skin darkening with rage. We've told the truth, Rodriguez replied calmly, something your Council doesn't seem familiar with. Around them, the ship's systems continued to malfunction. Screens flickered. Lights dimmed and brightened randomly. Your virus will be contained, Zex insisted. Our technicians are already working to eliminate it. Lieutenant Kim laughed despite his injuries. Good luck with that. The virus isn't just in your computers. It's rewriting them. The more you fight it, the faster it adapts. On Earth, celebrations had begun. The alien fleet hung motionless in orbit, rendered harmless by the virus. But in the command center beneath Geneva, General Santos remained cautious. We can't let our guard down, he warned the Secretary General. The Council ships are disabled, not destroyed. If they regain control, then we must ensure they don't, the Secretary General replied firmly. Dr. Patel, what's the status of the infiltration team? Dr. Patel studied the limited data they were receiving. We've lost direct contact, but the virus is functioning exactly as designed. It's transmitting data back to us, including the location of Captain Rodriguez and Lieutenant Kim. They're alive, being held on the command ship's bridge. Can we rescue them? Not with our current capabilities, but Dr. Patel hesitated. There might be another way. The virus hasn't just infected the Council's systems, it's given us access to them. Throughout the galaxy, the Council's authority was collapsing. On the Council homeworld, protests filled the streets. On member planets, leaders who had long chafed under Council rule saw their opportunity and declared independence. Species that had been deemed too primitive for membership, but too useful to destroy, watched the unfolding chaos and recognized their moment of opportunity. And in the darkest corners of space, on hidden worlds where the survivors of sterilized planets had found refuge, plans for revenge began to form. Aboard the command ship, Zex received report after report of rebellion and uprising. His 4 hands trembled as he clutched the command console. "This cannot be happening," he muttered. 4,000 years of Council rule undone in a day? "Not by us," Captain Rodriguez said. "By your own actions. We just exposed them." A junior officer rushed onto the bridge. "Counselor, we have a new problem. The ship's automated systems are activating." "What?" "Shut them down." "We can't, sir. They're responding to external commands." Lieutenant Kim smiled faintly. "That would be our people taking control of your ship." Zex turned on him. "Impossible." "You keep using that word," Rodriguez noted. "I don't think it means what you think it means." On Earth, Dr. Patel and her team had indeed gained access to the Council command ship systems. Through the virus they had uploaded, they now controlled everything from life support to weapons. "We have full access," Dr. Patel reported. "We can shut down their life support if necessary." The Secretary General shook his head. "No, we're not them. We don't massacre helpless opponents no matter what they plan to do to us." "Then what do we do with them?" asked General Santos. "We offer them a choice," replied the Secretary General. "Surrender or isolation." Sarah Miller, who had remained quiet during the technical discussions, spoke up. "And the other species? The ones they've oppressed? What about them?" "We reach out to them," the Secretary General decided. "We form new alliances based on mutual respect, not fear." The message was transmitted to the command ship. "Surrender your weapons and accept Earth's terms, or be cut off from all systems indefinitely, drifting powerless in space." High Counselor Zex read the message with disbelief. "They're giving us terms? A primitive species is dictating terms to the Galactic Council." "Former Council," corrected one of his officers. "Reports indicate that 12 major member species have already declared the Council dissolved. 3 more are calling for your arrest and trial." Zex slammed his fist down. "This is just one setback. We still have the most powerful fleet in the galaxy." "A fleet that currently can't move or fire weapons," Rodriguez pointed out. "Face it, Counselor. It's over." But Zex wasn't ready to surrender. "There is still the emergency protocol. Activate the quantum destabilizer." His officers exchanged nervous glances. "Sir, the destabilizer would destroy not just Earth but our own fleet as well." "I don't care." "I will not be humiliated by primitives." On Earth, Dr. Patel detected the attempt to activate the quantum destabilizer, the planet-killing weapon the Council had used on 17 other worlds. "They're trying to activate their primary weapon," she reported urgently. "I'm blocking it, but they're bypassing our controls." General Santos turned to her. "Can we disable it permanently?" "Not from here. Someone would need physical access to the device." Inside the command ship, Inc. emerged from hiding. The alien had been monitoring events from the ship's ventilation system. Now, knowing what Zex planned, Inc. knew there was no choice but to act. Moving silently through maintenance tunnels, Inc. reached the chamber housing the quantum destabilizer, a massive device at the heart of the command ship. Using knowledge gained from years of service on Council ships, Inc. began the delicate process of sabotaging the weapon. On the bridge, Zex watched with growing frustration as his commands were repeatedly overridden. "Something is interfering with the destabilizer controls," an officer reported. "Send a security team to check it," Zex ordered. But before the team could reach the destabilizer chamber, Inc. completed the sabotage. The quantum destabilizer's power core began to overload. Not enough to explode, but enough to render the weapon permanently useless. The security team found Inc. standing calmly beside the smoking ruins of the destabilizer. "Traitor," the security leader hissed. "You've doomed us all." "No," Inc. replied with dignity. "I've saved us all, including you." The security team took Ink to the bridge where Zex was nearly incoherent with rage. "You," he snarled when he saw Ink. "You helped them all along." "I helped stop a massacre," Ink replied. "The Council has lost its way, Zex. We were meant to guide and protect, not destroy out of fear." Rodriguez looked at Ink with new respect. "You sabotaged their planet, killer?" "It seemed like the right thing to do," Ink said simply. With the quantum destabilizer destroyed and the virus giving Earth control of the Council ships, Zex finally had no choice but to surrender. Under Earth's direction, the Council fleet was disarmed, ship by ship. Captain Rodriguez, Lieutenant Kim, and Ink were returned to Earth as heroes. They brought with them a treasure trove of alien technology, not stolen, but freely given by Council crew members who had witnessed the truth of their leader's corruption. Across the galaxy, the shock waves continued to spread. The Council's iron grip had been broken, and dozens of species were now free to determine their own futures. Many reached out to Earth, eager to form new alliances with the humans who had accomplished what no one else could. Dr. Patel and her team worked day and night to understand the advanced technology they now had access to. With this knowledge, she told world leaders, we can solve many of Earth's problems: clean energy, food production, even climate repair. General Santos coordinated with military leaders to establish a new defense system, incorporating salvage council technology. We won't be caught unprepared again, he vowed. The Secretary General led diplomatic efforts establishing contact with over 30 formerly Council-controlled species. We don't seek to replace the Council, she told them. We seek partnership based on equality and respect. Sarah Miller returned to her kindergarten class, but now her students included 3 young aliens, refugees whose parents had chosen Earth as their new home. Why did you help us after we tried to hurt you? One of the alien children asked her. Because that's what humans do, Sarah replied, just as she had told Ink. We help those in need, even if they were once our enemies. As Earth adjusted to its new role in galactic affairs, the former Council leaders were brought to justice. Zex and his inner circle faced trial before representatives of all the species they had wronged. You stand accused of genocide, of corruption, of the abuse of power, the Chief Justice announced. How do you plead? Zex, once so powerful, now looked small and defeated. We did what we thought was necessary to protect galactic civilization. From what? Asked the Justice. From chaos. From unpredictability. From change. Captain Rodriguez, attending the trial as Earth's representative, stood up. That's where you went wrong, Counselor. Change isn't something to be feared. It's how species grow, adapt, and thrive. Humans understand that better than most. The trial ended with Zex and his accomplices sentenced to life imprisonment on a remote world. Not executed, not sterilized, but given the same me. 1 year after the fall of the Galactic Council, representatives from 47 species gathered on Earth for the first Galactic Congress. They met not in a grand alien chamber, but in the rebuilt United Nations headquarters. In New York, a symbol of humanity's approach to galactic cooperation, the Secretary General opened the historic session. Welcome, friends from across the stars. 1 year ago, many of us were strangers or enemies. Today we come together as equals to build something new. The hall was filled with beings of all descriptions, some humanoid, others utterly alien in form. Yet despite their differences, they shared a common purpose: to create a galactic community based on mutual respect rather than fear and control. Sarah Miller, no longer just a kindergarten teacher, had been appointed Earth's ambassador for cultural exchange. She watched the proceedings with wonder and pride. Amazing, isn't it? Said a voice beside her. It was Ink, now serving as the representative of his people. A year ago, humans had never met aliens. Now you're hosting a galactic congress and we adapt quickly, Sarah replied with a smile. It's our greatest strength. And adapt Earth had. Cities around the world now featured alien visitors and residents. Schools offered classes in extraterrestrial languages and cultures. Scientists from dozens of worlds collaborated on research that benefited all species. Dr. Elena Patel led the Interspecies Scientific Coalition, which had already produced remarkable breakthroughs. Clean energy technology derived from Council ships now powered much of Earth. Medical advances shared by alien allies had cured several human diseases. Agricultural techniques from water worlds had ended food shortages in drought-stricken regions. The scientific exchange has been the most successful aspect of our new relationships, Dr. Patel reported to the Congress. When we share knowledge freely, all of our species advance. Not all was peaceful, however. In the power vacuum left by the Council's collapse, conflicts had erupted in some regions of the galaxy. Former Council enforcers had become pirates and raiders. Some species long oppressed sought revenge against their former masters. General Santos, now commanding Earth's first space defense fleet, addressed these concerns. The transition to a more just galactic order was never going to be entirely peaceful. But our combined forces have contained most conflicts. The former Council worlds are stabilizing, and the pirate threat is diminishing. The most dramatic change had been for the 17 species who had survived the Council's attempted sterilization of their homeworlds. Long hidden in exile, they now emerged to reclaim their heritage and seek justice. The Congress heard testimony from Catal, one of the last survivors of a world destroyed 3 centuries earlier. The small feathered being spoke with quiet dignity. My people numbered billions once. Now we are fewer than 10,000. The Council claimed our world was destroyed because we were volatile and unpredictable. The truth was simpler. We refused to give them access to our planet's crystal deposits. Captain Maya Rodriguez, sitting with the Earth delegation, felt a chill at these words. How easily Earth could have shared the same fate. "What do you ask of this Congress?" the Secretary General inquired. "Not revenge," Catal replied, "but a home, a place where my people can rebuild, remember, and perhaps, in time, forgive." The Congress voted unanimously to grant the displaced species territories on uninhabited but life-supporting worlds, along with resources and technology to help them rebuild. As the first session of the Congress continued, the delegates addressed the most important question of all. What form should their new alliance take? Some argued for a structure similar to the old Council, but with more democratic representation. Others wanted a loose confederation with minimal central authority. A few even suggested that all species should remain completely independent, joining forces only when facing common threats. The debate grew heated. Old rivalries emerged. Species with similar biologies or philosophies formed blocs. For a moment it seemed the Congress might collapse before accomplishing anything meaningful. Then Lieutenant Kim, who had been quietly observing, asked for permission to speak. Since his role in defeating the Council, the young technician had become something of a galactic celebrity. "A year ago," he began, "I was just a programmer who had never left Earth. I knew nothing of other worlds or species. But when our planet was threatened, I learned something important. Diversity isn't a weakness. It's our greatest strength." The hall fell silent as he continued. The Council failed because it feared difference. It wanted every species to develop along the same path, to think the same thoughts, to pose no challenges to their worldview. But that's not how life works, not on Earth, not anywhere. He looked around at the assembled delegates. "On my world, we have an old saying, if everyone is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking. We don't need to agree on everything. We don't need to be the same. We just need to respect each other's right to be different." His simple words resonated with many delegates. The discussion shifted. Instead of trying to create a single governing structure, they began to design a flexible system that could accommodate many different approaches to cooperation. The result was the Galactic Charter, not a government, but a framework for interaction. It established basic rights for all sentient beings, created mechanisms for resolving disputes, and coordinated joint efforts in science, exploration, and defense. Most importantly, it explicitly rejected the Council's practice of judging species as worthy or unworthy of inclusion. As the Charter's preamble stated, the galaxy belongs to no single species but to all who share it. Difference is not to be feared but celebrated as the engine of progress and growth. The signing ceremony took place on the anniversary of the day Earth had received the Council's death sentence. As each delegate added their mark, some using hands, others tentacles, proboscises, or more exotic appendages, a new era of galactic history began. After the ceremony, Captain Rodriguez found herself standing with High Elder Zorl, a crystalline being whose species had once been one of the Council's strongest supporters. "I must confess," Zorl said, light pulsing through his crystalline form, "a year ago, I believed, as Zex did, that humans were dangerous, that you would bring chaos to the orderly galaxy we had created. And now? Rodriguez asked. Now I understand that the order we created was stagnation, not stability. Your species has brought change, yes, but creative change, renewal. Zoral's crystals glowed brighter. You have taught this old being a valuable lesson. That fear of the unknown is the greatest danger of all. As the Congress concluded, Earth prepared for its next great adventure. The starship we vote no had completed its trials and was ready for its first mission of exploration. Beyond the boundaries of known space, Dr. Patel had improved the Council's faster-than-light technology, creating engines that could travel farther and faster than anything before. The ship would venture into regions no intelligent species had yet explored. On the day of launch, crowds gathered around viewing sites worldwide. The sleek vessel, built with a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology, represented humanity's future among the stars. Captain Rodriguez had been given command of the ship. As she prepared to board, she found Sarah Miller waiting to say goodbye. I always thought I'd spend my life teaching children about our world, Sarah said. Now I'm teaching them about hundreds of worlds. And I'm about to discover even more, Rodriguez replied. Any message you want me to take to the new species we meet? Sarah thought for a moment. Tell them we vote yes, to friendship, to cooperation, to celebrating our differences rather than fearing them. The we vote no lifted off smoothly, its advanced engines glowing with clean energy. As it reached orbit, ships from 24 allied species moved into formation around it, an honor guard for humanity's first true voyage of exploration. From his prison on a remote world, former High Counselor Zex watched the news of the launch. Even in his exile, he was permitted to follow galactic events. Fools, he muttered. They've unleashed humans on the galaxy. They'll regret it when these primitives bring chaos to everything we built. His guard, a young member of Ink's species, glanced at him with something like pity. You still don't understand, do you? What you built was already dying. The humans didn't destroy the Council. They simply revealed what it had become. Zex turned away, unable to accept that his life's work had been based on a fundamental error, the belief that difference must be controlled rather than embraced. Aboard the We Vote No, Captain Rodriguez stood on the bridge, surrounded by a crew comprised of humans and aliens working seamlessly together. As the ship prepared for its first faster-than-light jump, she thought about how much had changed in just 1 year. Earth had faced extinction and emerged not just surviving but thriving. Humans had gone from being alone in the universe to being key members of a galactic community, and the Council, which had voted to destroy Earth, had instead destroyed itself through its own fear and arrogance. Captain, said her first officer, all systems are ready for jump. Rodriguez looked at the starfield on the main view screen. Somewhere out there were new species, new worlds, new ideas waiting to be discovered. Take us out, she ordered. Let's go introduce ourselves to the neighborhood. The We Vote No leaped into faster-than-light travel, carrying humanity's message to